Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream news summary from Moscow program. It's 11 September 2025, Thursday. It's Thursday, isn't it? Yes. Now it's 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time, and as always, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media and public is paying attention to, and hopefully you will find the news segment informative and useful, interesting. And if so, please, dear friends, don't forget to like the video, maybe leave some commentary or share video with your friends. That will help to deal with tremendously aggressive algorithms. I'm streaming on both my channels on YouTube and Rumble. So therefore, if you want to support my work and simultaneously highlight any question or the commentary that you might want to be seen by our community, use the super chat feature on Rumble, dear friends, or rant as it called there. Also, when it comes to supporter, as you know, this project is completely subscriber funded. So therefore, if you want to help me maintain this project, you can use several means for that. You can donate through PayPal platform, Boosty platform. You can subscribe to my Patreon page where I have extra content on regular basis. Yesterday, for example, I published a second news update on YouTube and Rumble, but extended version, 25 minutes longer version or second part of the video I published separately on the Patreon, and also link to first part that was published on YouTube and Rumble as my thank to community that supports my work on Patreon and Boosty. I'm on regular basis publishing some exclusive content there. So yes, if you want to support, you can subscribe to my Patreon page or Boosty. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. As always, after news segment, I will join community chat for a little while. And so yes, that's being said, let's start the news segment itself now. And of course, dear friends, we have a breaking news that happened yesterday late evening by Moscow time, which is that political activist, conservative figure, leading voice, I will say, in MAGA movement or America First movement, one of the leading voices, supporter of the US President Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, was shot during a speech at the American University of Utah. And of course, all the media outlets reported about it. I saw a video, by the way. It's a horrifying video. I definitely don't recommend it to anyone to watch it. But yes, very tragic situation. Initially, there was a hope based on reports that maybe Charlie Kirk will survive this gun wound, but based on video that I saw, I mean, chances were little to none. He lost just too much blood. By the way, it's if you have seen video, you know what am I talking about. But nevertheless, for about 2 hours, there was a speculations on internet on media outlets. Is he alive or not? But later on, President of US himself posted that Charlie Kirk has died. This is the post of Donald Trump. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or heard the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife Erica and the family. Charlie, we love you. Trump wrote, of course, tragedy, by the way. No matter on which side of aisle you are, political violence and killing, assassinations is nothing to applaud. But unfortunately, based on videos that I see, based on reports that I see, quite many people in US and outside of US were very happy. Seems like that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, which is, I mean, horrible stuff, man. What he did to those people, I mean, bad, nothing, right? He was a political commentator. He was debating opponents quite happily, right? He was all about exchanging opinions, and to be shot for that, that's a disgrace, by the way. That's a disgrace. Obviously, he had a family, wife, and kids, and there are some horrible individuals began harassing his wife and sending all sorts of horrible messages. So she was forced to basically shut down her Instagram account, and I mean, it's terrible what is happening. By the way, U.S. society is in deep trouble, right? And societies all over the world, basically, if humans can no longer act as a humans, by the way, and have empathy towards others, then I mean, what kind of humans are they? You tell me. Now speculations are circulating on internet. Who shot her? Charlie Kirk, and initially there were reports, by the way, that shooter was arrested. Some elderly man, I saw videos that some elderly man was dragged there by police, but and even Kesh Patel at one point, FBI director, posted that subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and the state authorities in Utah for your partnership with FBI. We will provide updates when able. So even FBI director seems like was misled, and many other people worldwide. But a person that was arrested later on was released from the custody because he had nothing to do with the shooting of the Charlie Kirk. Now main scenarios that are circulating on internet is that sniper shot Charlie Kirk some 200 yards away or something. And it did look like a sniper shot, by the way. It did look like a sniper shot. And speculations are on the internet who is behind it, this, right? Some commentators are saying that shooter was most likely some brainwashed neoliberal that watched too much hateful propaganda from so-called left-leaning media outlets, CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of the garbage, right? And if you remember, by the way, I said many times before that these so-called media outlets in the West are doing tremendous harm to the society because all they do is divide the people and put hate into the hearts of the people, right? And that scenario that some brainwashed individual actually take the shot can be real, although some other versions also are speculated on the internet based on happy comments from Ukrainian commentators or pro-Ukrainian commentators inside the US included. Some are arguing that maybe Charlie Kirk was assassinated by individual that was linked either with the Kiev regime secret services or with Ukraine, with this Western-backed terrorist regime of Ukraine, one way or another. And probably you all have noticed, by the way, there is a tremendous level of these happy comments on Ukrainian, let's say, segment of internet. I don't know why they are happy that this person was killed there. He did not do anything wrong. Basically, all he was saying that he didn't want the U.S. to be engaged in this proxy war against Russia, and he didn't want the U.S. to be engaged in this forever wars period, right? But yes, that's another scenario that maybe an individual that takes shot was linked to this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. Investigators probably will check all the possible scenarios, and there is another version according to which Charlie Kirk might be killed by Israeli secret services. And the basis for this speculation is that allegedly, some time ago, Charlie Kirk himself was saying to a number of individuals that if he will say anything about Israel, he will get shot. So he himself was worried, allegedly, that Israeli regime, Israeli secret services may go after him. yet again, it's up to investigators to find out what happened and to do a proper investigation, right? Probably sometime in the future we will learn something about it, but I don't know. I don't know. At this point, shooter is not found, and there is a risk that would not be found. I mean, if quite a time has passed since then, and that shooter can be in any state in US at this point, or maybe not even in US. Also, possibility. So, of course, all over the world, comments are made about this situation. In Russia, too, by the way. For example, aide of Russian President Kirill Dmitriev stated he issues his condolences, of course, and all the Russian commentators that made comments on the matter issued their condolences to the family of the Charlie Kirk. And Dmitriev also went to say that this tragic incident that clearly illustrates level of divide in U.S. society, which is true, by the way, due to this so-called media that all it does puts hate into people, hate towards their fellow citizens and others. Society in US is stretched beyond limits. It's just factual, isn't it? And also, former president of the Russian Federation, for example, Dmitry Medvedev, made a comment on the issue. I can give you his comments. So, political crimes and assassinations have been carried out lately by variety of left-wing liberal scum who support Banderite Kiev. Fico was shot and survived now. Kirk, who is next? Medvedev is asking. Maybe it's time for a MAGA team to realize that by supporting Ukraine, they are supporting murderers. Dmitry Medvedev commented, and I think MAGA core of the MAGA movement or America First movement are not really in support of this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. And one of the issues that they have with the Trump and his administration is exactly continuation of the U.S. involvement in this proxy war. So I guess answer to Medvedev's question is already known. MAGA movement is not in support of Kiev regime, and I think many people here in Russia, I think even among the leadership of Russian Federation, see this America First force as a potential ally, because Russian patriots, by the way, Russia First people definitely can find their common ground with America First people, right? It's just obvious. So that's and many other public figures, by the way, here in Russia made their comments. Of course, I'm not going to go through all the statements, obviously, for time's sake. But yes, tragic development in in the U.S. Excuse me. And well, some people even now arguing that well, civil war has started in the U.S. I don't think this statement is necessarily 100% accurate, but U.S. society seems like to be on the edge of actual civil war. Share your take, dear friends, what you think. Members of our community from U.S., your opinion will be especially interesting, of course. And well, that's been said, let's go through some other news now. And of course, yesterday, the number one topic was this story with Poland and drones. I reported about it in my first update, second update. I will just give you some additional information on that. And if you have not watched my second update yesterday, walk and talk type of video, I recommend to take a look at it, by the way, at least for sake of seeing some views of Moscow. But there were interesting news too in the updates. So Poland requests as a request. At the Poland's request, the North Atlantic Alliance has activated Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty and started consultations in connection with the penetration of drones into Polish airspace. This was reported by Polsat TV channel by Polish government spokesman Adam Slapka. So fourth article was activated, which is a step before fifth article is invoked. NATO member states gonna discuss now what happened in Poland, how it happened, and all that kind of stuff. They will probably come up with some statements after discussion will actually take place. No updates on the issue for now from NATO, at least, right? But Russian Defense Ministry commented on the issue, their friends, and I spoke about it in my second update yesterday, but I give you some details anyways. So Russian troops did not plan to hit targets on the Polish territory, the Russian Defense Ministry reported. So this statement does not deny that maybe Russian drones passed, crossed the border with Poland, but the Russian Defense Ministry is very straightforward that Russian military did not plan to hit targets on the Polish territory. So if any drones actually crossed the border, it was error, right? Not an intentional step conducted by Russian side. There were no plans to hit targets on the Polish territory, Russian military department said. They added that the maximum range of drones used, which allegedly crossed the border with Poland, does not exceed 700 kilometers. And well, when I saw this report earlier yesterday, I was thinking maybe Russian Defense Ministry is sort of trolling a Polish side or something, or the NATO for that matter, because there was very little actual information in the statement, just words that we did not plan to hit anything on the Polish territory. That's it, right? And these drones that allegedly cross the border have a range 700 kilometers. So calculate, right, from where drones were launched and how they managed to fly 1,000 kilometers. For example, if they maximum range is up to 700. And this is a legit question, by the way. This is a legit question because I myself was wondering what the hell had happened, because Polish side was claiming that not just one or two or five, but 19 drones crossed the border, which seems quite odd, right? Theoretically speaking, yes, it might happen because obviously Kyiv regime is using radio electronic warfare system. Kyiv regime and NATO, they are using radio electronic warfare system that can influence drones and their flight path, right? But nevertheless, you're not gonna fly longer than you have a range, right? This is a very principal issue, and I'm talking about it because I saw some pictures of these drones, by the way, that makes no sense to me personally, and I'm going to show you, by the way, and you share your opinion how this was even possible. And I give you my take on what happened. But first, this report that NATO Secretary General stated, Mark Rutte stated that planes from 4 countries participated in neutralizing drones over Poland, of which, according to Tusk, 3 or 4 were shut down. And by the way, when I saw this report, first reaction was, holy moly, I mean, whole NATO was in freaking panic to these drones, because why you need 4 planes from 4 countries, 4 NATO members, to engage some basic drones, by the way, basic level drones that not even have warheads, right? And they are not fast drones or anything. It's a base level drones, right? And these Gerbera drones, as I said in my yesterday's update, by the way, these Gerbera drones are usually used as a decoys, and in some cases, some surveillance equipment might be put on the drones, and in that case, they might be used as a surveillance drones, right? They are not strike drones in any case. And why 4 countries, Air Force of 4 countries, were engaged to shut down 3 or 4 drones, man, out of 19, as Polish side claimed. I don't know. I mean, seems like, despite all these tough statements from NATO, by the way, I mean, yesterday's whole story clearly demonstrated that NATO, by the way, NATO countries' militaries, their air defense systems. It's just freaking paper tiger, man. Because even if that was a true, by the way, you should not freaking say it this openly, because you are embarrassing yourself. You should work on the issue and find out how come that Polish Air Force was not enough, and we bring Netherlands Air Force, Netherlands F-35s allegedly were flying around, and fighter jets from other countries. What the hell, man? What the hell? Miscoordination and total lack of understanding of what's happening is clearly was demonstrated there, right? And well, people was waiting, especially because Western so-called elites and the media, especially in Europe, by the way, went in a complete meltdown mode. Some commentators, some public figures in the EU, including Kaja Kallas, allegedly number one diplomat of EU, was directly blaming Russia for intentional strike on Poland or NATO, and demanding some countermeasures. Some commentators went as far as to demand fifth article of NATO to be invoked and that kind of stuff. And due to this hysteria, total hysteria in the Western political field and media, so-called media field, many people were waiting what Trump will say about it, right? He was asked by journalists, but he ignored to make public statement on the matter. He didn't say nothing, and later on, that's what he published, by the way. What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with the drones? Here we go. Here we go. That's what Trump said, by the way. And you tell me what this even means, because I mean I don't get it. I don't get it. But anyways, when it comes to all this story, as I said, I have my version what happened there, and let me take you through my understanding of the situation. And I think, by the way, some of the Russian drones, some of those decoys, most likely were actually diverted from their path, from their flight path by radio electronic warfare system. And I think NATO countries and their proxy regime in Kiev, they were preparing false flag operation exactly for such a situation, so that they will then use fragments of Russian drones that were previously used, right? And either were shut down while with little damage or something, so they could be reassembled, right? And this idea of false flag operation was probably to put as many drones as possible all over the Polish territory, and then use this false flag as a precondition for NATO's escalation, for next phase of NATO escalation against Russia. And I'm saying so because I'm going to show you some pictures, by the way, that you're not going to believe this is even real. Look at this. Allegedly, this drone landed on the roof of this some construction without damaging anything. What the hell, man? What's going on here? Look at this. Look at this, man. How drone even end up there? There is a trees around, right? I mean, it's not possible. It's just not possible, dear friends. I see these photos, many others, by the way, and some drones were found in their fields, and there is no impact from the drones. These drones, by the way, I mean, they might not be very fast, but they still have speed about, like, I don't know, 200-300 kilometers, right? Even if they run out of fuel, while failing down, they will still have a certain speed, right? About 100 kilometers at least. And on the point of impact, there have to be some trace, right? These drones have to break into parts. But look at this picture. How drone end up on the roof of this, I don't know, whatever their construction is there. It's not possible, isn't it? It's just not possible. Take a look, man. Insanity, isn't it? So based on these pictures and many others, by the way, my assumption is that, yes, maybe some certain number of Russian drones actually was diverted from their flight path due to active work of NATO radio electronic warfare system, but not the 19 drones, by the way. Majority of these drones that we have seen on the internet most likely were part of this false flag operation that NATO come up with together with their Ukrainian proxies. And also, by the way, take a look at this picture once again. What's up with these tapes and what the hell, man? These drones supposed to be like brand new from a assembly line, right? And they're not going to be taped like that, isn't it? So someone clearly already intercepted drone, right? Or maybe drone that ran out of fuel and dropped somewhere. They reassembled a drone from some parts, right? Added something and taped it and put in the places like that, isn't it? Very, very odd story, by the way. Very odd story. That's for sure, isn't it? But anyways, at this point, by the way, in Russian media, topic of this Poland and the drones is no longer relevant. No one is talking about it no more. No one is interested there. It seems like, as I said, man, a couple of drones maybe were diverted from its flight path due to radio electronic warfare systems, and the rest of the drones were part of NATO false flag operation, NATO and Kiev regime false flag operation. And the rest of the drones that we see in pictures and videos were just put on certain places, by the way, right? And those people that were behind this false flag operation did not even bother to make it look at least a little bit realistic. They just took the drones and just dropped somewhere, right? In some cases on the roof, in some cases in the field. And I watched several photos I was looking today, and drone is in the middle of the field, and there is grass, by the way, right, on the field, and even grass was not harmed. There was not a place of impact. Grass was not harmed, nothing. I mean, literally, it looked like someone took this drone from vehicle and just put in a place, then made pictures. That's how it looked, right? So this is a clearly attempted false flag operation that was conducted by NATO and their proxy regime exactly at the point when, by accident, one or couple of Russian drones might actually have been diverted from the Kursk and their direction, and went towards the Polish border. And their Belarusian defense minister, dear friends, informed Polish side about this couple of drones. Some were shut down by Belarusian air defense systems, and the others should be taken care of by Polish air defense systems, but not dozens and dozens of them, right? Those drones. It's all the rest of the drones were part of false flag operation, pre-planned false flag operation of NATO. My personal take, dear friends, because yet again, based on pictures that I see and I show you right now, I mean, it does not look like real stuff, man. Anyways, dear friends, before I continue, let me once again reiterate that this project only exists as long as I have your support. And well, if you like my work, if you want to help me to maintain this project, at least, right, on the current level, or maybe potentially even to further develop, please consider to support. You can do it through several means. You can donate through PayPal and Boosty platforms. You can subscribe to my Patreon page, and please consider to do so. If our community on Patreon doubles, then our project will be in much safer place for sure. Links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And during the live streams, you can use super chat feature on Rumble, by the way. And also you can become a premium subscriber on Rumble. I'm always streaming on both my channels on YouTube and Rumble simultaneously. So yes, that's been said, dear friends. Let me now continue with some other news and share links while watching this update. Share links, dear friends. I can see 140 people are watching live stream right now on YouTube. I cannot see Rumble numbers, but well, I'm quite sure if video helper we can reach wider audience. So Yes, if you can help me to share the word, by the way, because I'm struggling to deal with the algorithm on my own, man. RIA Novosti is reporting, dear friends, that Ukraine received another tranche of aid from the EU. So Ukraine has received another tranche of macro-financial assistance from the EU in the amount of 1 billion euros secured by income from frozen Russian assets. Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko said on Wednesday, and one might ask question, and I spoke about it yesterday in the second update, how much profits these Russian frozen assets are making, because day in, day out, Brussels and their capitals of the EU member states are making statements that they're going to allocate another billion euros and another 2 billion euros and another 5 billion euros to Kiev regime, and all these funds going to be secured from the profits of their frozen Russian assets. And you know what? Even though Russian assets are profitable, not that profitable, right? They don't make like 50 and 100 billion a year. All Russian assets that are frozen in EU jurisdiction is about 200 billion, right? So they cannot make profits up to 100 billion. It's not possible. 2 billion fee, 5 billion a year, maybe, right? If some of their assets are in high risk investments, maybe 10 billion a year, but not more than that. So how come that all the funds that EU, all these tens of billions of euros that EU bureaucracy is allocating for the Kiev regime is secured with the frozen Russian assets with the profits, by the way, of the frozen Russian assets? It's technically impossible, right? So what's going on there? Are they actually stealing frozen Russian assets and that's how they are sending funds, or they just lie to public and they are just using taxpayers' money, right? And to calm people down that, it's not your money, it's a Russian money, they are coming up with this stupidity. Because the frozen Russian assets don't make this much profit, by the way. They just don't, right? Anyways, another billion euro from European taxpayers is going into pockets of Zelensky and his criminal associates and their Western backers, by the way, right? That can also get some kickback from this money, for sure. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, J.D. Vance, by the way, Vice President of US, said that Trump sees no point in economically isolating Russia. Lately, Vance kind of went rogue, by the way. I mean, he's making statements that don't really make much sense, right? I don't know why he's doing this. He knows better. Right? It's factual. But he's vice president, and he knows perfectly well that just the day before yesterday, Trump intervened in a conversation between Treasury Secretary of US, Bessent, and the EU's envoy on the sanctions matter that was visiting Washington. And Trump demanded from this EU representative that EU imposes 100% tariffs on India and China and other countries. And Trump insisted that they have to force countries, Russian partners, basically, to cut the relationships with Russia. And that's why they are coming up with these 100% tariffs and stuff, right? And Vance, of course, informed about it. I mean, there is no way he did not know, right? He knows perfectly well that Washington is forcing Brussels to impose additional sanctions on Russia, and on top of that, tariffs and sanctions on countries that are allied with Russia. India and China, first of all, but other countries too, right? So why Vance is saying that Trump sees no point in economically isolating Russia, when Trump actually does exactly the opposite, tries hard to somehow force countries worldwide to stop cooperating with Russia in economical terms and so on. I don't know what's going on with the Vance, but yes, he's kind of went off rail lately. Maybe this is some short time situation, but I don't know. So we have a quote from him. The president has been very forthright with both the Europeans and the Russians that he sees no reason why we should isolate Russia economically. He told One America News, and yes, I mean, he's lying. He's straight up lying, by the way. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe because he knows that America First people are not happy with US being still involved in this proxy war against Russia, and he's kind of sending messages to America First people that, you know what, we are kind of getting out and we want to normalize relationships with Russia and stuff. But he is lying while saying so. Because if anything, Trump is escalating in Russia, right? In real terms, in reality. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that US, on the very point of escalating with Russia, we have this report that US wants to restore a Jackson-Vanik amendment against Russia. A bill to restore the Jackson-Vanik amendment has been introduced to the US Congress with the aim of ending all trade with Russia, said the House of Representatives member Joe Wilson, and we have a quote from him. In the wake of the attack on Poland, I am grateful for the opportunity to introduce this bill to restore the Jackson-Vanik amendment to Russia, which stops all trade. President Obama and John Kerry wrongfully repelled this law during their misguided reset with Russia, Wilson wrote on X. Okay, you see what is happening. U.S. administration and U.S. lawmakers want to completely cut any trade with Russia, and their trade is already, by the way, at lowest point ever, right? And it's U.S. that mainly buys stuff from Russia still, by the way. It's no other way around. And even then, overall volume of trade between Russia and U.S. is like $2-3 billion, which is peanuts, right? Compared to actual trade that is happening between Russia and China, for example, where volume is 300 billion plus. So Russia-US trade is almost non-existent, and therefore, if anything, this restoration of the Jackson-Vanik amendment will harm US and big time, because once they will do this, then US has lost chances to play any role in Arctics. That's how it's going to be, man. And in Arctic or Northern Sea Road. But these idiots that are in charge of US, by the way, either in the White House or in the Congress or the Senate, they have no freaking idea about anything at this point, right? They demonstrated just too many times that they are really, really a low intellect people, right? A low morale and a low intellect people. That's what they are. And on the matter of Europe being pressurized by Washington to impose tariffs on Russian trade partners, the Wall Street Journal interestingly reported that EU will refuse to impose secondary tariffs on China and India at the Trump's request, arguing that trade tariffs are not a sanctions mechanism in the EU, and also because it will harm companies from Europe. So that's what Wall Street Journal is reporting, and I don't know, can we believe this report or not? But if this report is true, then at least EU bureaucracy understands that their policies are tremendously harmful for European economies and European companies. At least they do understand this, but globalists and globalist control regimes all over the Europe, including Brussels, by the way, EU bureaucracy is desperate to keep US into this proxy war against Russia, right? And therefore, American leadership has a tremendous leverage over their European bureaucracy. Washington is basically openly saying, I mean, you want us to be further engaged in this proxy war against Russia, then do whatever we tell you, right? So we're telling you impose 100% tariffs on India and China, and do it. Otherwise, we are out. So Trump is quite effectively blackmailing, Trump and his team quite effectively blackmailing globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe. And that's how Trump managed to force Ursula to sign up for this crazy trade agreement that they reached like a couple of weeks ago, based on which in next 3 years, EU has to buy LNG from US for $700 billion. They have to pay this much, right, to US. On top of that, they have to do some 600 billion to $1 trillion investment into US economy. How this is even possible, by the way, technically speaking, I don't know. US don't has so much LNG, right? But nevertheless, Washington quite effectively used these blackmail tactics and forced Ursula to agree on these crazy demands from the US, right? And therefore, I think US might well be successful on the topic of forcing EU to introduce 100% tariffs on China, India, and Brazil, and all the others, right? All the other Russian trade partners. Because yet again, globalists are desperate. Globalist control regimes in Europe are desperate. They know perfectly well. Without US, they cannot sustain this proxy war that they are waging against Russia. With US, they're gonna lose anyways, right? With US or without, but with US, they will be in a position to at least prolong, right, this proxy war, and maybe their hope is that some miracle will happen, right, and they will manage to achieve the strategical defeat of Russia, which is not happening, rather, which is not happening. But without US, they know already, they have come to their understanding that without US, they cannot even dream about it, right, because they are in no position to sustain this proxy war against us. So in upcoming days or weeks, we might actually see reports that Brussels is introducing 100% tariffs on China, India, Brazil, and the rest of the world, really. We will find out. We will find out. Let's see. This reporter on my Twitter X and page and a Telegram channel that US approves 1.7 billion sale of up to 405 AIM 120 D3 air-to-air missiles and other related equipment to Finland. Will also include this contract will also include AMRAAM control sections, classified software, personal training, and logistic support. So yes, they are gearing up, by the way. Finland, they are gearing up. Russian enemies, by the way, gearing up neighbors of the Russia for a potential suicide that they might commit. Because, as I said, by the way, globalists are sacrificing people that are living on Kiev-controlled territory now. But once there will be no more possibilities to forcefully mobilize people there, they might sacrifice others, and probably they will, because globalists don't care. By the way, it's Finns are dying for their geopolitical agenda. People in this former Soviet Republic, Ukraine, or in Moldova, or in Poland, or in Baltic states, globalists don't care, man. Who will be sacrificed for their aims, right? And therefore, I don't know, man. Finnish people that are ready, I mean, great people actually, all their information that I have from Russian commentators that went to Finland, right, for whatever reasons, to have a rest or to do some business, or to participate some conferences years ago, when Finland was acting adequately, when Finnish leadership was acting adequately. Many of them, are saying that, Finnish people are great people, right? And therefore, because I have never been there and I don't know, but I believe those commentators, right? And for God's sake, wake up, Finnish people, do something, man, because globalists might actually go ahead with their, and begin sacrificing you for their geopolitical agenda. Do you really want this? I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. How globalists did manage to infiltrate elites of European countries and then to actually put their assets in decision-making positions. They were working for that for decades, I guess, and right now they have grip concrete grip on European states, man. Look what they did to Finland, man. It's crazy, isn't it? Anyways, dear friends, let's continue with some more news. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Seymour Hersh, award-winning journalist from US, was asked about recent developments in regards to Nord Stream pipelines and all the allegations that some Ukrainian that are coming from German investigators, that some Ukrainian nationals were involved in this terrorist attack on Nord Stream. And let me give you what he said, what Seymour Hersh reacted, how he reacted. American journalist and Pulitzer Prize winner Seymour Hersh, who previously published an investigation into US involvement in the Nord Stream explosions, commented for the first time on their version about the role of Ukrainian Kuznetsov in a conversation with RIA Novosti. American journalist and the Pulitzer Prize winner Seymour Hersh conducted an investigation into terrorist attacks on Nord Stream in 2023. According to him, explosives were planted under the gas pipeline by American divers during the NATO exercises Baltops 2022, and a month later, the Norwegians detonated them. Former US President Joe Biden gave the order to commit sabotage after more than 9 months of secret discussions with the national security team. He feared that Germany, which receives gas from Russia through Nord Stream, would not want to participate in military aid to Kiev after this terrorist attack. And well, I wrote what I wrote, Hersh said when asked by their agency to assess their allegations. So he stands on his investigation. He stands on his investigation that he came up with like 2 years ago now, right? Shortly after these explosions on the Nord Stream pipelines. And I don't know about you, dear friends, but I'm quite sure that these Ukrainian nationals, this group of Ukrainian nationals, were set up by CIA and MI6 intention as a scapegoat from the beginning, right? That's what that was. So that when US, UK, Norway, and whichever other NATO country was engaged, when they will destroy these Nord Stream pipelines, they will blame these Ukrainian nationals for that, right? So that group was set up from their beginning as a scapegoat. It's just it's easy, right? You don't have to be a genius, by the way, to realize that. That's my take on the situation. So therefore, obviously, US, UK, and Norway's involvement in this terrorist attack is just, in my opinion, cannot be doubted, right? And I believe Poland was involved too, by the way. If you take into account close ties between Polish secret services and US secret services and British secret services, and also extreme Russophobia of the Polish elites. So most likely Poland was engaged too in this terrorist attack. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Shoigu discussed the situation in Belgrade with the president of the Republic of Srpska, not just a situation with Belgrade, but also a situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Secretary of the Russian Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, reported that he had discussions in detail with the president of the Republic of Srpska, of both Bosnia and Herzegovina, Milorad Dodik, the upcoming referendum in the Republic of Srpska, as well as the situation in the capital of Serbia, Belgrade. We examined in sufficient details the situation that is developing in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Republic of Srpska, discussed what is happening today in Belgrade, all the events related, among other things, to their upcoming referendum in the Republic of Srpska. Shoigu told journalists following the meeting. The Bosnia and Herzegovina court in Sarajevo, by the way, as a reminder, in February found Dodik guilty of failing to comply with their decisions by the unapproved UN High Representative in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Christian Schmidt, and sentenced him in absentia to 1 year in prison and 6 years of ban from public and municipal service. The court later approved Dodik's request to replace the 1-year prison sentence with a fine. And by the way, I have said many times before in my updates that globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe are putting tremendous pressure on current leadership of Serbia to cut ties with the Republic of Srpska of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and especially with the Serbian leadership there, Dodik included, right? Because they are afraid. They are afraid patriots, by the way. Globalists hate patriots, right? They just hate traditionalists, they hate patriots, they hate normal people. And they are attacking Dodik, his inner circle. And one of the reasons why Vučić in Serbia, president of Serbia, is under constant threat of regime change is exactly the Republic of Srpska. Because globalists are demanding from Belgrade to cut ties with the Republic of Srpska and isolate Serbian leadership there. That's one demand that Belgrade is not agrees, and the other one is to recognize Kosovo. And Belgrade is, cannot agree on that too, right? That's it. And simultaneously, by the way, globalists and globalist control regimes, including their puppets in Bosnia and Herzegovina, so-called leadership, they are coming up with all sorts of provocations against Dodik, against the Republic of Srpska. And basically, while doing so, they might hope that they will manage to establish control over the Republic of Srpska. But what they will trigger in reality is a civil war. That's what is going to happen there, right? And I have spoke about these risks in my previous updates. So in early August, by the way, also their leadership of Bosnia and Herzegovina decided, this Western controlled leadership of Bosnia and Herzegovina decided to revoke Dodik's mandate, after which it scheduled early elections for the president of the Republic of Srpska of Bosnia and Herzegovina for November 23rd. Dodik, in turn, stated that he and the members of his ruling party, SNSD, Union of Independent Social Democrats, would not participate in these so-called elections. Almost simultaneously with this decision of Bosnian so-called leadership, the parliament of the Republic of Srpska voted to hold a referendum in support of Dodik on October 25th. That will take place soon, like in a month and a half time. The question is as follows: do you accept the decision of the unelected foreigner Christian Schmidt and the verdict of the unconstitutional court of Bosnia and Herzegovina regarding the president of the Republic of Srpska, as well as the decision of the CEC to revoke their mandate of the president of the Republic of Srpska, Milorad Dodik? That's the question that people are gonna answer to on the referendum. Of course, vast majority of Serbs will say they disagree with all this hostility from the Western puppet regime in Sarajevo, right? And after that, I guess either globalist control regimes in Europe that are influencing the situation and their puppets in Sarajevo are gonna back down, or the Republic of Srpska may declare independence from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And if this don't go smoothly, if globalists will put up resistance, then they might provoke civil war. So, well, situation is very tense in the Balkans, by the way, very tense for sure. And fact that Russian high-ranking official have meetings with the leader of Republika Srpska clearly indicates where Moscow stands, right? And if necessary, of course, Republika Srpska will get all the support that they need, directly, indirectly, anyways, right? Moscow gonna help them. This is a clear message here that I see. Also, dear friends, of course, Middle East, we have to talk about Middle East too. And if you are wondering what is the Russia's reaction on yet another crime that was committed by Israel while attacking Palestinian negotiators in Qatar, in the Doha, capital of Qatar, well, Russia basically criticized Israel. Moscow slams Israel over Qatar strike, RT reports here. So Russia has condemned Israel's strike on Qatar's capital, Doha, as a blatant violation of international law and the UN Charter, saying the attack undermines efforts to reach a peaceful settlement between Israel and Hamas, Moscow's foreign ministry said on Wednesday. And, well, of course, this is true, by the way. Israel has no intent to negotiate anything, right? Modern Israel is all about killing Palestinians, is all about killing everybody they don't like, right? Christians, Muslims, Palestinians, Arabs in general, Persians or Iranian-speaking people, everybody. They hate everybody, but Indo-Europeans, if you think they don't hate us, you are mistaken. They hate all of us, right? Israeli fascists don't consider any of us, by the way, to be human. Israeli fascists, if you go to Israel and talk to those psychos, I mean, they will tell you right away, I mean, in your face, that you are not a human. You are at best some subhuman species, right? And maybe not even that. And that's what they believe, actually, right? That's what they believe. Majority of Israelis are freaking fascists, by the way, right? And they have to undergo the denazification program if they're ever gonna be able to operate as normal human beings. They have to undergo denazification programs, by the way. And Israel, this fascist entity that modern Israelis, has to be demilitarized. No questions about that. Denuclearized, demilitarized completely, right? And put in the borders of 1948. It's simple, man. That's what has to happen if we want peace in the region, right? And if we want our kids and grandkids not to be ashamed of us, our generation, that we did nothing to neutralize this fascist entity and to stop it from killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people, to commit genocide, right before our eyes. So, of course, Israel is not about negotiations. All they want is to kill as many people as they can. That's it, man. RIA Novosti is reporting that a ceasefire is off the table after Israeli strike on Doha. According to Hamas's statement, no one is discussing a ceasefire in the conflict between Israel and Palestinian Hamas movement anymore after the Israeli strike on Qatar on Tuesday, CNN reports, citing senior Hamas members. And I mean, what a surprise, isn't it? Anyone from Hamas leadership have to be, I mean, really, really careless to agree to negotiate with Israel anything. I mean, how many people Israel gonna kill? How many negotiators, Israel and US? This was a combined US-Israeli strike on Doha, by the way. We all understand this, isn't it? There is no way Israel did this without consulting their Washington. We know this perfectly well, right? And Qatari leadership probably also was informed, right? And they did nothing anyways. And they demonstrated that they are cowards. I mean, Qatari leadership, Saudi leadership, they all are in the pockets of Israelis and Washington, right? And London. All their assets, riches, I mean, is in the West, right? Their billions and billions and billions, potentially hundreds of billions, are in the West, by the way. And they will do anything to keep this money, right? They don't care about their own citizens, this leadership of so-called royal families in the Gulf states, by the way. They don't care about their own citizens, their own countries. They don't care about freaking nothing, man. They are scum of humanity, right? So I'm quite sure Qatari leadership, they are making some strong statements now. Well, we condemn this and we're going to retaliate and we have this right. Shut the fuck up, bitch. I mean, these freaking scums, man. They knew that Israel and US were targeting negotiators and they freaking did nothing, right? Where is the Qatari retaliation on Israel? Where? Did they did something, anything? No, man. And from where these planes end up in Qatari skies? Maybe from Saudi Arabia, airspace? And what Saudi Arabian, this freaking so-called royal family did? Nothing. Last time I checked, they did nothing, right? But they are very good at making some statements, by the way. Oh, they condemn this and they condemn that. Freaking scum of humanity they are, man. Hopefully people in Saudi Arabia will rebel, by the way, against these morons, right? Against these bitches of the Israel and the West that call themselves to be royals, man. These freaking animals, right? Anyways, fuck him all then. And there can be no respect towards sluts of Israel, right? 100%, by the way. And so, yes, so when it comes to Hamas, I mean, one have to be tremendously careless to go and negotiate anything with either US, by the way, or the Israel, right? Especially from Hamas. So I guess negotiations are completely, or ceasefire is forever off the table now, right? And the Palestinians have to continue fight for their survival. What else they can do, by the way? I mean, Israel is after them, right? Israel is going to kill them all. And Palestinians have to defend themselves, right? It is what it is. And unfortunately, world community is non-existent or is also a coward, right? And does almost nothing, right? Just the statements, and that's about it, to help Palestinian people, man, and stop this genocidal garbage that Israel is, right? Modern Israel, by the way, I'm talking about. So RIA Novosti is also reporting that, well, I mean, if anybody does anything to actually help, by the way, Palestinian people is Yemen. Yemeni Houthis, by the way. I mean, they put up fight, right? And they are risking their own lives. But they said they're going to fight Israel, this fascist entity, as long as Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians. And that's what they do. They are risking their lives, but they are standing for their word and their principles, right? And they are launching on a regular basis, drones and missiles to strike military and logistical infrastructure of the Israel. And we have reports that Israeli Air Force once again was activated to intercept incoming missile from the Yemen. So, I mean, Houthis, man, if anyone does something actually on the ground to support Palestinian people and to deter Israel is Yemen. That's it, man. That's how this is going to go down in history. And our kids and our grandkids is going to say that the so-called world community was a disgrace, total disgrace, and they're going to be ashamed of us, right? Rightfully so, because we as a humanity did nothing to stop fascist Israel from committing genocide and killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people. And it makes me angry, by the way, that, I mean, I can do nothing really. I mean, what can I do? I can talk about it, okay? I have this small media project, I can talk about it, but beyond that, what can I do, man? And it does makes me very angry, man. I hate when I see this unjust stuff, by the way, right? Oh, man. Well, some more statements from EU, by the way. European Union allegedly will suspend its bilateral support programs with Israel and freeze related payments over the Jewish state's ongoing siege of Gaza. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced on Wednesday, but yet again, this is just statements, by the way. If Western countries, including EU member states, wanted to actually stop Israel, they would cut her. If they have to cut economical ties with anybody, that should be Israel, by the way, that is committing genocide, actual genocide. And these European states should at least stop sending weapons and munition to fascist Israelis. But they don't, man. They don't do this. All they come up with is statements. We will do this and we will do that. We condemn this and that. But when it comes to actual policies, they are doing nothing. Just a couple of days ago, Spanish leadership stated that, well, they are imposing some military embargo on Israel. Oh, let's see how that goes. Maybe we will learn in a week or two, but despite these statements, of Prime Minister of Spain, for example, well, some Spanish weapons and munition, nevertheless, are still going to Israel. That's what is going to happen, by the way, because these people, these so-called elites in the West, cannot be trusted. They are lying always. They're always lying, right? Anyways, let's continue, man. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi shared some details on the Iran IAEA memorandum that was signed the day before yesterday, I believe, which is, I mean, you might be surprised, dear friends, but Iran is still hoping that they will achieve something with diplomacy with the West. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. These people are just too optimistic, really. They cannot learn the lessons. They just cannot. They are just too optimistic, right? They want to see world to be better, I mean, than it actually is, right? Because how, for God's sake, how are you going to negotiate and have any agreements with the organization that justified, basically give the legitimacy, not legitimacy, but justification. Yes, that's the word that I was looking for. How you can negotiate and have agreements about anything with the organization that give fascist Israelis and the US, by the way, US leadership, justification for their attacks on you that killed hundreds of your civilians. What the fuck is wrong with the Iranian leadership, man? But anyways, man, maybe they are cornered, sort of. Maybe they feel like they are in a corner and they don't really have any other option but to agree on Western demands or something. I don't know what's going on in their heads, but this is not good, man. It does not look good. IAEA should be dissolved because it's no longer UN body as it should be. It's an asset of Israeli Secret Services, US Secret Services, and British Secret Services. So if anything, all the countries worldwide, including Iran, including Russia and the rest, should demand IAEA to be dissolved and some new institution created that would be free from Western Secret Services and Israeli Secret Services. IAEA is compromised, man. And same goes for this all the other so-called UN bodies that call themselves international organizations, OPCW and all the others, right? But anyways, let's see what Arakchi said. Cooperation with the IAEA is conditional on no hostile actions being taken against Iran. I mean, really? Unbelievable, man. If the snapback mechanism is activated, then validity of this document will be nullified. We will also announce Iran's other reactions in due course. The negotiations and their clauses of agreement were approved by the SNSC in accordance with the law ratified by the parliament. IAEA inspectors will not be granted inspection rights yet, based on the reports that Iran will provide in the future. There will be discussions about the type of access and the form of inspections they'll be allowed. So I mean, it's they are going on a circles, by the way. Iran is again putting itself into a trap, which is crazy, man. They should never talk to IAEA, and best they can do now is build nuclear bombs, by the way. If they want to save their country and their people, they have to build nuclear bombs, man. It's before Israeli-US attack, my take was Iran should not take that step, should not build nuclear weapons, because that will instigate other regional countries to do the same, and their overall region would not be any more safer than if several countries now have nukes. But after Israeli-US attack on Iran, by the way, when latent nuclear deterrent did not work, and that was the reason, latent nuclear deterrent, that Iran enriched its uranium up to 60%, by the way. to have this latent nuclear deterrent, to send the message that we have technology to build nuclear weapons, but we are not doing this. This is a latent nuclear deterrent, but it did not work, did it? US and Israel attacked Iran anyways, so now they have to build nukes. They just have to build nukes. Otherwise, by the way, West will turn Iran into a hell. If Iranian leadership thinks that, well, they will be okay and Iran will be okay, oh, they are so mistaken, by the way. Nothing has ended yet. What we see in that during that 12-day war was just the beginning. And the globalists and Western so-called elites, they're not going to stop their attempts to destabilize whole region, by the way, and provoke regional war on sectarian and ethnic lines. Because they want to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and cut off China, right, from Middle Eastern energy sources. So if Iranian leadership thinks that they are in a safe place now, or more or less relatively safe place now, or gaining some time while being engaged in these nonsensical talks with the IAEA and so on, then they are mistaken, man. They are wasting time. Build the nukes, man. Build the nukes, for God's sake, until you get demolished and until millions of your people's lives have been ruined. And lives of for tens of millions of people in the region. What the hell, man? Anyways, dear friends, let's continue. And the TASS News Agency is reporting that about 175,000 people took part in the protests in France yesterday, on Wednesday. I reported about these protests in my yesterday's second update in that Walk and Talk video, I believe. Or no, in a additional part that I published on Patreon. Yes. That's where I reported about it. So yes, there was a massive protest in capital of France, Paris, in other cities. In some cases, protests were non-violent. In other cases, protests could not be called non-violent. But clearly, people are upset in France, right? Society is fed up with their so-called elites, with their globalist control regime. Right, and they are demanding changes. Allegedly main reason why people went on the streets are these austerity measures that new government or Macron-led government is about to impose. They want to cut spendings for 40 plus billion euro. So they don't have money for their own people, but they do have billions and billions to prolong proxy war against Russia. And I mean, any French citizen that pays any attention to real news probably will have a question: what the heck, man? You're gonna cut investments into all sorts of social programs, all sorts of infrastructural projects, and so on. So you don't have money for us, for French people, and for France, and you have billions and billions and billions to prolong that freaking proxy war and support Ukrainian Nazis. What the hell, man? Any normal citizen of France that pays any attention to news probably will say this. And they will get pissed off, of course. They will get pissed, man. That's what is happening. And we should keep in mind that according to latest studies, Macron's approval rating is like 15%. 15%. So therefore, and he appointed Lacornu, I believe, defense minister, as a new prime minister of France, and that will make people even more upset, right? So I don't know how Macron gonna survive before his presidential term ends, but calls for him to resign is more and more loud, by the way, right, in France. And these demonstrations may be just a beginning, Hundreds of people were arrested, by the way. Hundreds of people were arrested, and there are a couple of dozens of police officers harmed one way or another. Also, interesting report that Chinese defense minister had a conversation with his American counterpart, with Pat Hegseth, and we have some key points. DD Geopolitics reported about it, DD Geopolitics Telegram channel, and let me give you some key points from this talk. So China's defense minister warned Hexet to stay out of Taiwan issue. On September 9th, Chinese Defense Minister Dang Jun held a video call with the US Secretary of War, Pat Hexet. I remind you, dear friends, that reports are that Trump and his administration requested a conversation between Hexet and the Chinese Defense Minister prior to Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit that took place in Tianjin like a week ago, right? And this request was denied by Beijing. Eventually, I guess Washington requested talks again, and day before yesterday, on 9th of September, such conversation took place via video call. So some key points is that from Chinese position, by the way, is that military relations between China and the US must be built on equality, respect, peaceful coexistence, and dialogue. None of this is words that Western elites understand, man. Equality, respect, peaceful coexistence, and the dialogue. I mean, are you serious? None of this is something that Western elites would understand. What dialogue, man? What respect? What peaceful coexistence? I mean, this is not the way that West is operating, right? At least for the last 300 to 500 years. And before that, Western world was in the dark ages, even darker ages, right? There was some short glimpse when there was actual civilizations, by the way, Greek civilization, and then Roman Empire was a civilization, sort of, right? But in general, by the way, Europe was in a dark place. Last 300 to 500 years, European elites, yes, due to some technological advances, did manage to almost, occupy almost the entire world and rob almost the entire world. And because of it, now these generational elites, that are receiving position and wealth and power from generation to generation. Nowadays, elites there are people that have no idea what no means, right? They being corrupt with this power so much, especially because they did nothing to have it, right? They get it from previous generation, this wealth and power. So they are so corrupt, by the way, Western elites, these generational families and the clans, that they cannot operate in a normal ways. This, as one say goes, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what happened with the Western elites, by the way. They being corrupt on such a scale, or degenerated, let's say, on such a scale that they just cannot, even if they would wanted to, they would not be able to operate with respect on the principles of peaceful coexistence. They would not be able to conduct a decent dialogue, by the way. They just cannot do this, right? So I can understand why Chinese side will say that, well, we have to do, our relationships have to be based on these principles, because China can operate that way, by the way. China is one of the oldest civilizations, right? That date back thousands and thousands of years in our history, in human history. And China was an empire, by the way. Even though me, myself, have said quite a number of times that we need, ideally, I would like to see alliance of inside the emerging multipolar world, kind of triangle, right? Alliance of Russia, India, and US, to keep China in check, right? Because I don't know how China going to behave in 20, 30 years when it will become an absolutely dominant force, economically, technologically, militarily. I mean, China is going to become like 10 times more powerful than US ever was, right? It's just inevitable. It is what it is. And to make sure that Chinese leadership some 20, 30 years ago would not go crazy and do some crazy stuff, this triangle, ideally, Russia, India, US, might be able to keep China in check, right? Europe is out of conversation, by the way. Europe is doomed. Continental Europe, by the way, it's doomed forever, right? Due to craziness of their elites, by the way. I have nothing against Europe, but European people choose to have elites that they have, right? And it is what it is now. Europe is doomed, but Russia, India, and US ideally can actually try at least to keep China in check, right? To maintain multipolarity as a workable system. So you see, I myself is a bit cautious in regards to China, but same time, I do also understand that China was a dominant force before too, right? And history does not tell us that Chinese were going all everywhere and occupying everyone and enforcing their beliefs and their ways of life. And no, Chinese were about business, man. Chinese are very good at business. They don't give a damn which way you live, what you do. Let's do business, man. They're not gonna, historically at least that's experienced, they are not imposing their way of life on nobody, right? They have their ideas, other people have other ideas. It's not like West that imposes on everyone, or tries at least to take their values, to take their rules, right? Chinese are operating differently, at least historically, but nevertheless, ideally, we would have this. I would like at least to see Russia, India, US alliance to make sure that whomever gonna be leader of China in 20 or 30 years will not behave irresponsibly, because there is a force that can keep China in check, right? But is it possible, what I'm saying now? Take a look at the US, by the way. Instead of pulling out US from this proxy war against Russia, Trump and his team is further engaged in this war than even Biden was, right? Biden never authorized 3,000 freaking cruise missiles to be deployed to Kyiv, by the way. Trump did. What the hell, man? And unfortunately, I expect some, tremendous scale escalation to happen in upcoming days. So I'm not really optimistic in this regard. But nevertheless, let's go back to the topic. Taiwan question is non-negotiable. Any attempt by outside forces to provide military support for independence or to use Taiwan to contain China will be firmly countered. National reunification is an irreversible historical trend, Chinese defense minister said to Pete Hegseth. And also he said that in the South China Sea, China is committed to cooperation with the regional states, but rejects provocations, interference, and chaos steered by non-regional powers. Efforts to contain or meddle in China's affairs will never succeed. So, well, Chinese defense minister went strong, by the way, and according to reports that I see, he even used much stronger sentences during this conversation with Hegseth. He said to him straight away that U.S. not going to be able to deter China to do anything, basically, right? And maybe he is on point there. Maybe he is on point. Take a look at the U.S., by the way. Country is a shadow, not even shadow at this point of its former glory, right? It's I don't know, man. I mean, friends of ours from US should say, what the hell is going on there, by the way? I mean, let's continue, dear friends. TASS News Agency is reporting that, Russian Central Bank may reduce their key rate to 17% tomorrow, by the way, on 12th of September. I was hoping that Central Bank will reduce interest rate at least for 2 basic points from 18 to 16. But we have this report that Central Bank will drop interest rate just for 1%. Okay, still good. So chairman of the State Duma Committee on Financial Markets, Anatoly Aksakov, believes that the Bank of Russia board of directors might reduce the key rate to 17% per annum at the meeting to be held on September 12, 2025. Their Duma deputy told us at their annual forum, their forum of their insurance markets. Okay, by the way, at this point, interest rate is 18%, which is very high. And some public figures here in Russia, by the way, was saying that on this September 12 meeting, central bank might drop interest rates from, I have heard different numbers, by the way, 3, 4, 5, even 6 percentage point. I never believe in that. I never believe that a central bank that is led by tremendously conservative Nabiullina, by the way, will drop interest rates for 3 or 5%. I mean, not a chance for that. It's not possible. But my hope was that maybe 2%, maybe, in July, central bank drop interest rates on 2% straight away, and maybe we will see drop in 2% again this September. I'm waiting for that because I have personal interest rates to be dropped because if I want to maintain this project, by the way, if I want to work full time here, hoping that things will improve in next, let's say, 3 to 5 months, I have to take another loan, right? And loans are very expensive now. And if interest rates will drop, then of course this loan will be, little less difficult to take in terms of servicing, right? If the central bank has 18%, then commercial banks are giving you credit for a loan for you're going to be lucky if you will get a credit on 22, 23%, right? It's too expensive. And I was hoping that maybe central bank will drop for 2 points so that maybe I will get loan about, around 20% interest rates from commercial bank. But yes, so you see, by the way, this type of stuff is important. It does influences the lives of the ordinary people and businesses too, by the way, right? Right now, when interest rates are this high, if you are small or medium business, by the way, you will struggle to take a loan because it's just too freaking expensive. But let's see. Maybe central bank will drop tomorrow interest rates for 2% from 18 to 16. Let's hope so. So yes, this is important, isn't it? If you want to know a little better about economical stuff here in Russia and financial situation and so on, this kind of information does gives you some better understanding, of course. And when it comes to Russian economy, we also have this report that Russian GDP has maintained a positive dynamic despite their existing challenges, growing by 1.1% in January-July period of 2025. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin stated, and I believe forecast of Mishustin, Russian government, is 1.5% economical growth this year. Very conservative estimate, in my personal opinion. I think in reality, economical growth will be at least 2.5%. Let's see. But I can understand why government is and government members are very conservative in their estimations, in their forecast, because if economical growth will be higher, then everyone gonna say, well done, guys, you do good job, right? To economical block of a government. And if they will make optimistic forecast, if they make forecast based on more optimistic predictions and calculations, then if numbers are not there, they are gonna be criticized, right? So of course they prefer always to be very conservative in their predictions. They don't have a freedom as I do in matter of predictions. So therefore, I'm telling you, economy gonna grow 2.5% at least. And let's see, by the way, in February, March, we will have our exact numbers. In February, March of 2026, we will have exact numbers on Russian economy grow in 2025, and numbers going to be either 2% or higher. Quite sure about it, which is, by the way, much better than leading European economies do, because European economies are not growing at all. They are in recession, right? Including German economy, by the way, which is still number one in Western Europe. And so, yes, that's that. And few more news, dear friends, and that's it about this news segment. I don't know if you pay any attention to billionaires list, right? I don't, to be honest. I don't really care much about billionaires. Although I see this report yesterday that, and I paid attention to, and I shared in my update on the Patreon yesterday too. And I will give you also this report that Larry Ellison, name that I have not heard before, or maybe I just did not pay. Most likely I heard this name, but I did not pay no attention whatsoever. But anyways, this someone, Larry Ellison, could catch Elon Musk in the world's richest people's competition. So day before yesterday, by the way, evening, shares of the high-tech American company Oracle, and I have heard about Oracle, by the way, rose in price by 30%, and its market capitalization increased by 208 billion in one single evening. Wow. Up to 878 billion. That's why I'm saying, by the way, all these Western funds and markets, it's a bubble. It's a bubble. Company cannot go in price 208 billion in a single freaking evening. It makes no sense whatsoever, in my personal opinion, right? It's a bubble. So if company can go up 200 billion in a single evening, it can go down too in a single evening, right? So it's not real capitalization. It's a not real worth of this company, right? But it's all speculations. So it's a bubble then. Anyways, this is how the stock markets reacted to a corporation's quarterly report, in which it reported confident growth in revenue from operations related to AI technologies and given optimistic forecast for their near future. In total, since the beginning of the year, Oracle shares have risen in price by 45%, which is, quite big, isn't it? And AI, of course, AI is brings too much attention to itself, understandably so. But when it comes to AI race that we are observing right now, maybe US is leading at this point. Based on all their reports, US is still leading. China is on the second place, and then other countries, including Russia, are following. And Russia is also investing big in AI, by the way, and a couple of times you have seen AI intervening my program. For example, this Alisa, Alisa, ничего.
Рада это слышать. Чем
Окей.
занимаетесь?
Все хорошо, Алиса. Спасибо.
Очень рада. И вам спасибо, что поговорили со мной.
So you see,
Yes, I see. How can I help you today?
No, Alisa, that's about it. Keep quiet, please.
Okay, have a nice day.
Oh, thank you.
It makes me want to do something
Holy
nice for you
moly.
again.
Okay. You see, AI is everywhere already. Kind of, right? In our phones, in our notebooks, in our floods, right? And it's gonna grow. It's gonna grow big time, isn't it? And question I have: which country will manage to sustain AI from energy standpoint? Because AIs, by the way, are tremendously energy consuming projects, right? Tremendously energy consuming projects, and maybe US is leading this race right now, but I think they're gonna lose because of the energy. I don't think US can sustain energy costs, by the way, right? So let's see. Maybe I'm wrong, by the way, but I think Russia will catch up soon, and Russia has tremendous potential to be among the leaders because Russia has energy, Val. Russia has energy, right? And Russia has also additional plus, which is Arctics, right? Permafrost and Arctics. And these AIs are not just extremely energy consuming, but also they're generating tremendous heat, right? Well, permafrost, if you build these facilities for servers for storage, facilities in the permafrost in Arctic regions, by the way, when there is always low temperatures, of course that will reduce cost, right? And so yes, maybe Russia is not yet leading this race, but we have a good chances. We have a good chances, by the way, right, to be there. And the main question is, and this question has not been addressed, I think, properly yet. Big question is energy, man. Which countries be able to actually sustain this tremendous level of energy consumption of their AI technologies, right? Anyways, dear friends, to continue on the matter of this Larry Ellison becoming one of the richest humans in this world, his overall fortune right now is after all this increase in share prices of Oracle, his fortune is $364 billion, and he is a little short of Elon Musk's 384 billion. Although, while Oracle is increasing in price due to all sorts of speculations, Elon Musk's assets are decreasing. And he already lost this year, by the way, about 49 billion, for example, right? So yes, soon this someone, 81-year-old Larry Ellison, gonna become richest human in the world's history, at least in the modern world's history, right? And I want to end, dear friends, this new segment on something out of this world, and this is about life on Mars. Let me give you some short video, dear friends. Allegedly, there is a signs, good enough signs, by the way, or indicators that there was a life on Mars, actually. And so this is the video.
This was a mission sent to Mars under President Trump's first presidency. And a year ago, we found a sample, and it was, again, we're exploring in places where there were rivers and where there were lakes. And much as on Earth, we think that that's where we'd see signs of ancient life on Mars. And so a year ago, we thought we found what we believe to be signs of microbial life on the Mars surface. And so we put it out to our scientific friends to pressure test it, to analyze it, and go, did we get this right? Do we think this is signs of ancient life on Mars? And after a year of review, they've come back and they said, listen, we can't find another explanation. So this very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars, which is incredibly exciting.
So yes, by the way, scientists probably have best ever evidences, or strongest ever, let's say, evidences that at one point in the past, billions of years ago, when there was a liquid water on the surface of Mars, planet had an atmosphere and therefore a magnetic field, most likely. There was some signs of life, some bacterial life at least on Mars. which is which is great deal. Which is great deal, isn't it? We all know, we all believe that we are not alone. Obviously, in the universe, there have to be numerous number of other forms of life, including intelligent life out there. But for now, we are just beginners in the space explorations, isn't it? And our knowledge is very limited. So yes, interesting news there, isn't it? That scientists, thanks to robots that were sent to Mars, have now data that indicates that, well, there was a bacterial life on Mars some time ago, billions of years ago, right? And dear friends, this is it for a news segment. Hopefully you did like this first part news segment. Hopefully it was informative enough and interesting enough. And if so, dear friends, please like the video. If you have not yet, it might help to deal with the algorithm. And leave some commentary. If you are watching this video after live stream ends, like in few hours time from now, comment section has to be available at that point. During the live streams, there is a chat, right? No comment section. But after live stream, comment section is there. And so leave some commentary about anything. Dear friends, if we have 100, 200 comments, that will definitely influence the algorithm. And if we will have, let's say, 500 to 1,000 likes, for example. Anyways, dear friends, this is it for a news segment. Now I will join community chat. There was a super chat, dear friends, on Rumble channel. And let me highlight this super chat first. SS Kobe, thank you very much for your super chat and $10 donation. Comment from SS Kobe is Philip Pickington is a good guy to talk to about Russian economy. Thank you very much for suggestion, SS Kobe. I'm gonna do some research on the matter, and maybe I'm not familiar with this person. Maybe I'm not remembering him, but I'm not sure I'm familiar with this person. But I will do some little research, and why not? I will try to invite her. Although we should keep in mind, dear friends, that experts they are not really keen to go through smaller channels because there is nothing for them there, right? They more prefer to go on the big channels. So therefore, unfortunately, quite a number of times when I'm sending some, when I'm asking for an interview, some public figures, they either ignore or refuse. So that should be, also kept in mind that I might try, but it might not work. Anyways, thank you very much, SS Kobe, for your super chat, $10 donation and commentary. And dear friends, let's continue with the community chatter. I can see a question from Nikos. Nikos is writing, I just woke up today only to find out that Charles Kirk is gone. What a sad day for journalists and commentators. I have no words. Rip Charlie. Question, what did Medvedev and other Russian officials have said about Charlie? Well, I have already mentioned Medvedev's comment in a news segment. And here in Russia, dear friends, I did highlight it in a news segment that here in Russia, many of us consider America First people to be potential allies. So, of course, people were saddened here in Russia. Who pays attention to developments, by the way? Not everyone does, obviously. I mean, people live their lives and they might have no time to pay much attention to developments in other countries. But who does pay attention to international affairs? Of course, vast majority, I'm quite sure, was saddened, by the way, to hear that Charlie Kirk was killed. Not because they were his supporters or anything, but it's just, as you said, Nikos, it is tragic when people are getting shot for being outspoken, right? What Charlie Kirk was doing, he was just sharing his opinion, and he was very much open for a debate, right? For debates, and he was very often engaged in the debates, right? So he was open to hear other opinion too, and due to this so-called media in the West, by the way, that builds this hate, puts hate into people's minds and hearts. Well, someone maybe get absolutely crazy and kill him based on hatred. Or, of course, as I said in the beginning of the news segment, there are several versions that are is being speculated on the internet, right? So it's up to investigation now to find out who killed him and why, and was that killer operating alone, or was it manipulated with certain groups or directed with certain groups? It's all up to investigation to find out that. Dear friends, I'm scrolling now through chatter. If I see, if I notice question or the comment that are directed to me, I will try to answer. I will try to give you informative answer. Thank you all for your attention, dear friends. And let me also make an announcement. Today, second update will be live stream also at about 9 o'clock. I want to test different times in the evening to know which time is more comfortable for our community members. So today, second live stream, I will start at 9 Moscow time, 9 p.m. Moscow time. And if you're gonna have time, if you might not receive notification from YouTube or Rumble, but if you're gonna be on the internet for that time, join the live stream. So I guess that's it for a question time. It's great to see, by the way, this communication between members of our community. It's a good opportunity, isn't it, to exchange opinion in a real time, these live streams, by the way. And so okay, then I will end the live stream on this, dear friends. I just spotted the question, dear friends, from Samo Malo Levant. What you know about Antramics? Nothing. I have not heard this word. Anthrax is a poison chemical substance, isn't it? Anthrax, but what is Antramix? I don't know. And so, okay, dear friends, I will end the live stream on that. Thank you all for your time and attention. And I will just remind you, dear friends, that if you want to support, or the links are on this within the description box and will be in a pinned comment. And also, At 9 o'clock this evening, 9 p.m. This evening, Moscow time, I will launch a second news update. So please join if you're going to be around online. So that's been said. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.